Hey, Marc Warnke, if you find, and they call me the goat guy. My expertise is in goats, but I'm also a lifelong homesteader, and I'm a founder of the lifesteading movement and how to optimize your land and your life and your spirit and your effect on humanity, and tying that all in a beautiful way. That's something that I feel like I've dedicated a lot of my life to. One of the things I want to encourage you to think about is that when we're trying to think about the effective use of time and energy, the energy output in the form of calories, so how much energy do I have to exert to put calories back in my body, we actually have to think about that. Because if you're just exerting a whole bunch of energy and it's to procure survival or food or whatever it is, that you have to have a give back. Now, I acknowledge that the give back sometimes is things like satisfaction, the unmonetizable or the unequatable, or the ones that you can't put a number to, those intrinsic values that just feel good and feed your soul. I get it. I get that part. But if we exit that part of the equation out for a little bit and we think about the production of food, and if you're trying to sustain off of your own piece of land to produce your own food, and by the way, if you're not trying to think about that, literally the only thing you can safely get at the grocery store, and even that's questionable now, is meats and vegetables. Everything else that's not fresh meats and vegetables is so crazy loaded with all the crazy chemicals that are creating all the crazy problems in human beings and in general. All the preserved foods or anything that's in a package is not to be trusted as a good, viable food source if you're trying to optimize your personal health. So if we think about just meat and vegetables, and then we're trying to accomplish that here, well, then how do we do that here in the most optimal way as it relates to caloric intake? So here's what I'm going to present to you. And some of you guys are just your heads are going to explode when I say this, because you think, man, gardens are the way to go. But I'm telling you, calorically, it's not even close. I'm suggesting goats over gardening. Here's why. All the current guys that are really people that are in the health and nutrition field are all going to proteins and fats. They're going towards things like carnivore or keto or meat and fat-based consumption with a very low amount of things like root vegetables and maybe sprouts and that sort of thing. But all the green leafies and all that stuff and the grains and all that no modern health people are saying that's the way to go. And there is going to be, well, what about vegetarianism and all that stuff? And I don't even want to choose to really argue that here, because if you're trying to be calorically sensitive and you're trying to meet your needs calorically, and you're in a place like this that has seasons, you are going to spend so much energy trying to get calories with plants versus animals that it's not even comparable. It's way better, in my opinion, and you'll be smarter to let these goats go gather this mountain and this creek bottom and this pasture and bring it into their body, and then bring it out of their body through milk and through meat. And that's how you gain your nutritional value. And the same with chickens, through their eggs and their meat. You would be so much more efficient in your calories out versus calories in that it's not even comparable. So my suggestion to you is to look at gardening as something that's intrinsically valuable, something that's fun. But if you're wasting massive amounts of time and energy there, you are literally wasting massive amounts of time and energy there. I approach my garden for things like comfort foods, strawberries, blueberries. I love spaghetti squash. I like a few root vegetables. I like to grow my herbs there. But I don't spend any massive amount of time on a garden at all, because for me it is a waste of energy. Versus the time I could spend developing my herd, having my does produce babies each year, getting their milk, having my chickens make babies each year, getting their eggs. That effort and letting them harvest from the land that I can facilitate and I can take care of and I can grow intentionally to feed their bodies and their bodies feed me is a much more well thought out system, especially when you consider calories out versus calorie in. So I want to be the first to say that I'm going to figure out some kind of wording or something that sounds snazzy that I'm going to call it goats over gardening. And so I hope you find that helpful. Maybe it changes a little bit about how you think in terms of the energy and the time and everything that it takes in not only in planting, but weeding and harvesting and preservation and all that stuff that we dedicate towards low calorie input food in a garden versus raising goats that can give us so much more. So I hope you find that helpful. Marc Warnke, the Goat Guy, the founder of the lifesteading movement, signing out.